Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blood and Pigment Podcast. My name's Garrett Swader, and I'm here with Joseph.
Hello, it's good to record again. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
good to hear your voice again. It's been a while since I've been on. And we also have Dan.
Hello, I am Dan.
Hello,
The
Dan.
married man.
I'm now a married man. I am now a married Dan.
Congrats, that looked really fun. Quite the yeah. You live streamed the wedding. I got to watch it. It was lots of nerdery going on, but still very nice.
It was a lot of fun. We're recovered now.
I didn't get to watch it, but I do congratulate you. It's been a while since I've been on. I've been away having babies, so
How many?
we've had just one, but I've got my other kid that I was helping take care of as well. But broken free from that a little bit to come record again, so getting a little less busy. So see how it goes.
Big life events.
Yeah, exactly. So for this episode, we asked our patrons, and they came back with explosives. So it's going to be a very explosive episode. Yeah. We've got Grenadoes, Stinkpots, Firepots. Those are the three different types in Blood and Plunder. So we're going to be talking about those later on and how you can use them in your Blood and Plunder lists. But for right now, we're going to get kind of caught up on what we've been working on hobby-wise, and I'm going to start with you, Joseph. What have you been doing hobby-wise lately?
I've been getting some painting, which has felt really good, but I'm still short on my 100 minis by the end of the year goal. I think I'm up to about 40, and it's November 16th, so I need to do 3 minis a day, which is probably not possible. No, not quite. I need to do 2 minis a day. A lot.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I get to 50, and that will probably be only a medium failure instead of a massive failure. But I've been doing some of the new minis for preview articles for the upcoming Firelock project. So doing some of the resculpts and some of the new commanders, and I've been sharing some of those on the blog. I'm doing some preview articles. I'm about to finish up some English freebooters. I did an English commander, which I really like that mini. I did finally finished the minis from the organized play kit, the hostage and the musician. Did the cook recently, and I did the Corbetta, the ship, which I posted a bunch of pictures of too. So yeah, I did a ship and good 10 minis since last we talked. So that's pretty good for me. Really liking the new sculpts. Also have some Hostigadores half started that have been pushed to the side for these preview minis.
Yeah, everything's been looking like super nice coming out of the preview stuff. I've got a lot of Spanish stuff that I'm working on. Right now, I'm working on the Spanish Commander and Isasi, the legendary Spanish Commander that's going to be coming out in the new book. He's already in the game, but he's going to get. Do we know if he's going to have different stats in this book, or if it's going to be or is he just going to get a model? Can we say?
I do know. I can tell you that.
Okay.
He's going to get a model. He's going to get his own faction. He's going to keep his same stats, but right now he's a little overcosted for what he brings to the table, in my opinion. So his faction is going to be has some substantial rules to bring his power level up a little bit. So,
Cool.
But he won't receive a change in his stats, so we can keep using the same card and everything.
That's nice. And yeah, so I've also been trying to do the 100 minis for the year, and I am on track. I lost though with the birth of my daughter a month of my buffer month. So I am currently working on November minis as November finishes up. So, but I'm still technically on track, and I should hit the mark by the end of the year.
I'm still finishing April's mini, so you're doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. But yeah, I'm working on those 2 commander models, and then I've got all of the Spanish stuff either primed or ready to prime, and I will be shooting out preview images of those painted as I get them done. So.
Nice. Yeah, looking forward to all these minis coming out and everybody getting their hands on them next year.
Yeah. It's gonna be cool. Can't wait for the ship. You guys got to preview the ship. I don't have a ship yet. I'm jealous. Dan, what have you been working on? Speaking of
So
ships.
not to again lord it over you or anything. I did beg for it though. I got the Corbetta. Joe's was kind enough to send one to me, and I got to paint that, and paints up really well. Really happy with it. I got to test it out, which we'll get into that later. But love the Corbetta. Absolutely love it. It's a nice, sleek ship. It's actually the first ship I actually put flags on too. But did that. It's great. It came together really, really well. It felt kind of about the same work as a brig, just not quite as tedious because the brig's got some more ornamental stuff on it. And then I had Riley print me up a bunch of miniatures that I am painting for Adepticon to add some flair to my force. So I've been painting those feverishly.
How many minis have you painted this year? It's a lot, isn't it?
I didn't keep track, but about a few,
Handful.
maybe a handful, something like that.
Speaking of painting and family events, you guys got married and had a kid, but no less important, I finally got my son painting models.
Nice.
He's been playing Star Wars Legion for a long time. I try to get him.
Oh,
going
he's
on
painting his own models, not
Yeah.
your models. Oh, see,
Yeah,
that's
he's painting
less
his own.
nice. Okay.
The
Well,
Forster sweatshop does not include painting yet.
No.
See, that's what I'm hoping
But he's
for with
painted
my son.
like over 130 models this year. He really got going just maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and he's painted up a storm, and he's doing a good job. He's 13 and finally feels the pride of putting an army that you painted on the table.
That's awesome.
It's not as important as your offense, but I'm very happy.
No, it's just as important. That's a milestone.
No, it's
I
not.
I mean,
think.
yeah.
I think I witnessed my first miniatures game at 13 at a mall in California, and they were show Warhammer Fantasy, and that's when I was like, "Oh wait, people do this." And then years later, 40K got into that, but that's still a stone. Yeah, probably 13, 14, 15-ish when I started.
I did another whole paint night with all of my kids painting at once. I thought I would paint some miniatures, but I never got to. I just helped them paint space hamsters and stuff.
I'll have to have Riley print me a bunch of animals for pillage, and then say, "Hey, do you want your kids need something to paint? You want them to paint loot for pillage?" We don't discriminate based on the color of cows. They want to make pink cows, we'll steal them.
My 3-year-old, I got these hamsters, these weird, like a traveling hamster trader kind of person, all this stuff on their back. They're pretty big too. They're like twice as tall and 8 times the mass of a Blood Plunder miniature. And she painted it bright pink the whole thing. She was very careful, 4 years old, painted it all up, but it looks terrible. But I'm glad I got some more painting in this year.
Well, have you done any playing lately?
I've been playing pretty regularly. Skipped a couple for a work trip, but pretty much every week I've been playing the Corbetta quite a bit. Playing at 200 and 250 points. It is smaller than the Brigantine, less models, so it's an interesting, really well-balanced ship as far as it offers some really great things with speed and maneuverability, but you cannot pack it full of 70 models. So that's been a lot of fun. Did a Duke Gay Trion, a French legend, big commander list, and used it with Woodes Rogers. Been trying it with a more elite crew and a bigger commander since you can't fit quite as many men in it. Played quite a few C games with it. Been putting some finishing touches on some scenarios for this Rise of Buccaneers book. I had my whole group play 3 or 4 tables of the little scenario with Rock Brasiliano getting attacked by Spanish cavalry and put some nice touches on that scenario where you have Spanish cavalry just keep coming where the Buccaneers are trying to get off the board. And we got like 40 cavalry all in one table just for fun to see how it looked. With like 4 different people's collections. We play tested and then played a bunch of the Halloween stuff. We worked on that Halo, or Dan led up that Halo crossover, and we played the Predator crossover thing. And one of the guys in my group, Jason, he found us through our Predator Halo thing, or Predator Halloween thing 2 years ago, and did a video on it on YouTube, and then started to play Blood and Plunder because of it. And he's a great hobbyist, tons of terrain, he can build anything real fast. And he had these huge, elaborate Predator setups and the rocket ships, drop pods, or whatever for them, and little groves full of skinned and flayed victims from the Predator.
Oh, I
stuff.
love
So
that.
quite
I
the
love
Predator
that.
fest on the week of Halloween. That was pretty nuts. Predator lost a lot.
Nice.
Even lost to the Halo monsters. But
The
we
elite.
did the Elite versus the Predator. Close we could do an Alien versus Predator. Then we did a demo day just yesterday. My store did a historical demo day where they asked us to come in and do Oak and Iron and Blood and Plunder, and they did, I think, Flames of War and maybe something else. But we were there. Well, I was there at 10 o'clock. We did demos from 12 to 5 and had people coming in all day. Riley and me and Don were there all day. And a lot of people came through and played. Oak and Iron is really popular. A lot of people came specifically for it. There's a lot of people who have been in a long-standing community for Wings of Glory, which has a lot in common with it, that were quite enthused and enjoyed it. I saw a Blackbeard list with the Queen Anne's Revenge and the Revenge and a Brigantine put a full-size galleon out of action by melting its hull. It was crazy, some of the things that happened in that game I helped demo.
Was it a 3v1?
No, it was 3v2. So it was a sloop, Queen Anne's the Revenge sloop, and the Queen Anne's Revenge 6th Rate, and then a Brigantine versus a full-size galleon and a light galleon.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And somehow the pirates won. It was crazy. They got some lucky criticals to burn through and then they captured the galleon too. It was pretty cool. Did some land demos, some sea demos. Tired me out by the end of the day, but good practice to get back in shape for Adepticon. A lot of people that want to play, but they just need people to play with, and if they can't make the normal night that we play, it makes it hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I could schedule a weekend every month to do it, but that is hard to keep consistent too. So I wish it's easier to schedule everybody so we could actually get together play with more people. But kind of got our Thursday night going. It works for a lot of people, so we just keep it going so it doesn't blow up. But
yeah,
it's tricky.
It's hard.
But had a great demo day. How about you guys?
So I've been doing some stuff at the game store recently. I had my Halloween game that I was testing a scenario that could possibly show up on the blog on a later Halloween. It went really well. It was really fun. It was more of a horde survival game where the ghost pirates are coming in off of the water, and then you are playing as a team against, basically you could, if you didn't have a GM, the players could run the pirates themselves. Like, it wasn't super complicated the way I had it set up, to where it's just you don't need somebody playing the pirates. It's probably a little more fun that way, just because you could give them to a little less experienced players and they could just run the ghost pirates. But you're just trying to survive and to keep the ghost pirates from taking your treasure that you rightfully stole from their shipwreck. So
Nazi zombie defense game.
yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
We've been playing on Tuesdays. I've been keeping up with that, but we do it every other week. So I give myself a week off every other week from going to the game store. And then we also I try to do a weekend per month to do some kind of special game.
That might be a good schedule. That's 3 times a month and you have 2 different days. That's smart.
Yeah. It works for me. I like it. We did every Tuesday during Summer of Plunder, but we've since, after that ended, we've went back to the every other Tuesday, and I like that schedule. We also did a recorded game, recently. So, like actually this past Saturday from when we're recording. So I've not even started editing it yet, but that's something that will show up on YouTube probably eventually. And let's see, this coming weekend I'm doing this will be the third annual Great Tortuga Turkey Shoot, I call it. And we usually just run a big con type game right before Thanksgiving. It's I like giving my games sometimes weird, fun names, but this winds up being like we usually have the scenarios picked out for Adepticon ahead of time, and I'll usually pick one to like test out on this occasion. And this year, it's probably going to be the Maracaibo game.
Yeah, we need to get on that.
So, yeah, yeah, I want to get it on the table and try it out just to make sure it's not awful, but I don't think it will be.
Nice.
What about you, Dan?
I have not been gaming a lot due to the buildup of the wedding and then exhaustion post wedding. The one game I did get in was the week before the wedding. We did 250-point games, and I took the Corbetta out for a test run. And I kind of accidentally did the same thing that Joseph was doing. I brought Admiral Crimson, and I loaded it full of medium guns, and just stuffed as many Z-Liden I could fit with medium guns on the ship, which isn't a lot, like at all. And I filled all 5 guns, so even the dinky one pair in the front, filled it all up, and we just went to town. I did very well against the sloops, and my brother bought a sloop and a barco. That did not go well, but that was more because he wasn't really experienced in running 2 ships, and he deployed his barco not very well. So it definitely is good at, its class and below. There was a light frigate that I did not get to spar with, but I imagine that one would have been much more difficult because the whole Fortitude 5, and he had filled it with freaking able seamen on guns. So fatigue wouldn't have happened ever.
Definitely has a point limit, and if you get up against, light frigate really outclasses it mostly, but it kind of outclasses everything, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. That's the only thing that we really had. I think we played Blood and Valor maybe a week or 2 ago, and that was fun. But just casual pick me up games. We started in trenches, and the rule was I think we played King of the Hill, where we started in our trench and we had to get up and move and try to control the center, and that was fun. Valor is always fun. No complaints about that game whatsoever. It's always super fun. But that's about it.
Okay, do we want to get into the main topic then?
Let's do it.
So yeah, explosives. Historically, these were fireworks that armies and bands of pirates or buccaneers would take with them, and they would be made of anything from cast iron to glass or clay, ceramic, or what have you. And they would have gunpowder explosives packed in there, usually shrapnel of some kind, half bullets, pieces of metal, sometimes even wood, and they had fuses. You'd light them, you'd toss them. You had the main different types were the Grenadoes and the Firepots and Stinkpots, and they kind of it's exactly what you think it is. You know, the Grenadoes are meant for exploding and causing damage. The Firepots are there for, spreading fires that you have to worry about putting out. And then the stink pots are there to smell really, really bad and cause a lot of smoke. But as far as the game rules go, what can we glean from the book for the game rules, Joseph?
Yeah, there's some generic rules that cover all 3, and then there's some specific rules for each variety. A weapon that usually can be added to a unit, and it's usually attached to a small portion of the models in the unit, so not each model gets these explosives. Which, anecdote, when I was first learning to play Blood and Plunder with my buddy Brian, the rulebook just said that Forlorn Hope have explosives, so we thought that every model had them. So I was playing the Spanish, just defending my little hill, and these 4 Lorn Hope come up, and he had 4 of them, and he threw 12 dice for Grenadoes onto my guys and just obliterated them. They just running around destroying everything. So limited explosives, only 1 in 4, 1 in 8. A certain slice of your unit actually gets them. You got to keep track of which model is using them.
Right.
They are shot as part of an attack, so you could shoot them individually or with other weapons, but usually one model is throwing them while everybody else is shooting a different weapon. They can't be used for defensive attacks. They don't get any reloads, so they're kind of just you can shoot them throw them every time with other attacks. He has a bag full of explosives you can use. And then this is interesting. When you throw them, they're finicky and dangerous, so you have to spend 2 actions to throw them safely without any danger to yourself. Or if you do, kind of like a marksman shot, or if you do a 1 action throw, you have to roll a dice for each explosive you're throwing, and if you roll a 1 or 2, that misfires, or you drop it or something stupid and you hit yourself with it, and you'll have to resolve that explosive's result against yourself. So you have to either gamble or treat them with care. They all have a range of 5 inches, which is kind of weird because most stuff is 4 inches in Blood Plunder, but they can be thrown up to 5 inches, and you don't need line of sight, which is also odd because you can kind of lob and toss them over a roof or roll them around a corner or something. That can really change the dynamics if you're not looking out for that. And they take no range penalty, so all the numbers are just static. Since they only go 5, it's not worth calculating range penalties anyway. Those are the generic rules, and then each of these 3 items has specific rules for how they behave.
Okay, so one question I had for these general rules. In the book, it shows like a vertical 5 inches. So is that a limit of, like you were saying, a top, like lobbing them over a building? I think it's vertically 5 inches too is the limit that you can like lob over, right?
Yeah, I was looking at that as well, and that is what it says.
Now,
Thrown up to 5 inches vertically and horizontally, so they may be
okay.
lobbed onto or over small obstacles.
Can I lob them around a corner?
Yep, it doesn't say you can't. It says you don't have to
Okay.
have, unlike typical weapons used to make ranged attacks, they do not need line of sight to their targets, and they do not incur a range penalty.
Okay. I'd not thought about that before, but yeah, I guess that works. That was just me like thinking when you were doing yeah, and you can add these to your attack, like if you're firing muskets. So you're one guy that has explosives, if he's in range of throwing his explosives onto this unit as well, he can add that to that musket attack. He wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to shoot his musket or his pistol, but he would be able to add that attack into the attack that's already happening. It counts as all one shoot, is what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah. So these attacks can be kind of complicated. Some people, I think a lot of people just don't use them because they're extra rules, but they're extra fun, so you should use them. But yeah, when you make an attack like, here is my pistols, and here's my men's rifles, muskets, and then here is my commander's pistol, and here is my grenadier's explosive dice. You have to keep them all separated. So that can take a couple seconds to sort out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more question, because the thought just occurred to me. Does it say, I don't have my rulebook in front of me, does it say that the 7 can't be modified, or would that stack with ruthless or strict?
Can't be modified by any special rules.
Got
Okay.
it. Like, I didn't have it in front of me, so I figured I'd ask. So that's also good to know.
Yeah. And that makes sense.
Yeah. You can't throw grenades angrier.
Although it doesn't say that no penalties can be applied to it, so drunk could make your firepots less powerful.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
No
we
bonuses.
should. They should add drunk. You get like you drop them on yourself more often too.
On a 1 through 5, yeah.
Yeah, or something.
You actually do get a penalty. Let me look at the wording on drunk while you guys continue here.
Okay.
Every other test that it makes, is this a test? It doesn't say it's a test, but it is. I mean, all dice rolls are kind of tests.
Yeah, because it's a test to roll a dice and see if you hit.
Yeah. So I would say it does affect, which is good because the pirates have a whole lot of opportunity to take
But also, if it says it can't be
explosives.
modified by any special rule,
It
wouldn't
doesn't say
drunk be a special
modify.
rule?
It says it can't have any bonuses.
Bonus. Yeah.
Oh, that's the juicy part.
Yeah, not penalties.
That might be a question for Mike.
Add it to the
Yeah.
pile.
I feel like that's kind of got some vagaries that might need to be worked out. But anyway, interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go on to Grenadoes more specifically, Dan?
Yes, I will handle Grenadoes. So these are the most deadly version of explosives. They roll 3 dice per grenade thrown. So if it's 1 in every 4, and you have 12 models, that is 3 models, which is 9 dice that can yuck grenades. The base attack is 7, and it explodes on 10. So if you roll a 10, you get to roll another hit to try and score another hit. So as we just discussed, you cannot use Ruthless, Strict, Drilled, anything like that to modify it. So it's basically always going to be a 7 unless you are drunk or something like that. But, so when the grenade dice hit, however, the unit that is being hit is not in cover. Pre-errata, you were saving on 9s regardless. Post-errata, which is currently the most modern interpretation of the rules that has been released, it is your save plus 1. So English Militia, your shoot save's an 8. Sorry, you're still rolling 9s. Anyone else who's got 7s, you're rolling 8s instead of 7s, which is better, but still kind of hurts. So if you throw them onto a deck of a ship, you don't get hard cover or anything modifying from that. So it can kill a lot of guys, especially if you have a lot of grenades being thrown. The downside is if you choose not to throw them safely and you drop them on yourself, you're then resolving those hits against yourself.
Right.
One of my first experiences with these, besides the one I already talked about, a tournament in 2019 at Gen Con. I was at the top table through no skill of my own, really, but I went up against a French player. I had a unit of Forlorn Hope, and I was getting towards the end of the game where I had a tie, and I was trying to outshoot the French, which isn't a good idea. So I ran my Forlorn Hope up, took some casualties. They kept going, and I finally if I got this attack off, I'd probably win. Threw my grenades into these buccaneers who had been tormenting me and missed with them all and had no fortune to get anything back, and it felt terrible. Because I was going to win with the grenades, but then they missed.
At least you didn't drop them on yourself.
At least
that's what I was waiting to hear. If you went to throw
Yeah,
them,
I was thinking
the Forlorn Hope blew themselves up.
That would be a better story. But
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to lose, you might as well lose that way.
Mm-hmm.
Second variety is the Firepot, and these did get changed quite a bit in the early 2025 errata 1.4. So your rulebook is wrong right now. So I would check out the errata on the Firelock downloads section. It's on the second page of that errata doc. But here's the rules. It also gets 3 dice per Firepot you throw, but they hit on 8s instead of 7s. And a unit can benefit from cover. They also don't get the exploding 10, so they don't kill as much. But they kind of cause more havoc. A defender has to roll an additional die on the fatigue test if they get hit by the Firepot. Nobody likes getting burned or caught on fire. And then they might start a fire. It's not very likely, but they could. If 2 or more 10s are rolled, it starts a fire. And this is where it's significantly different than before. It used to be on 8+, it starts a fire, which is a 30% chance. And with the way the fires work on buildings and ships, became too easy to just blow somebody's ship up by putting more fires on their ship than there was decks, and then the whole ship was eliminated. And that's not really how fire pots worked. So, with the new units in Race to Black, it's not fun at all.
Yeah.
So they might start a fire, but it's not very likely. Definitely more likely if you have 2 models within your unit throwing fire pots. You got 6 dice. Still not very likely. But main function is to add fatigue to the enemy you're attacking. And if it does start a fire, it's very helpful because units within that section of a ship or a fortification. They can't make any ranged attacks out of it while they're on fire. And when they move into or start activation in that deck or section, they have to take a fatigue check when they activate or move in. And that fire might spread and move to another part of the ship too. So starting a fire is very advantageous, very dangerous for your enemy, but this can kill some people and it can add some fatigue, which is one of the important parts of that weapon.
Right. Can you think of times that you might want to use Firepots over Grenados?
Yeah, well, we should talk about their cost too, because most of these, and they're applied to units in different ways, but the standard way you add these is 2 points or 4 points for a Granado per model, and it's 1 in 8 or 1 in 4 is the standard ratio. And then the Firepots and Stinkpots are half as much, or 2 points per model. Some units are a little different. They get it for free, or this for free, that for 2 points or something. But generically, most of the time, Grenados are 4 points. Firepots, Stinkpots are 2 points per model. Grenados definitely are scarier for knocking units off the board, but I often find myself using a Firepot instead because of how cheap they just don't cost as much. Depends on what kind of list I'm making.
Yeah, they're cheaper and I like the additional fatigue. For some reason I think I like that better than them being the Grenados being a little deadlier. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't crunched the math. It might come out about the same because kill more guys, you have to roll more fatigue dice anyway. But it's really cool. Even if they don't lose any guys, they're gonna have to roll 2 fatigue checks if you get any hits at all with the Firepots,
Right.
which is pretty nasty.
Which, coming from a guy that plays Spanish a lot, I like that because that just gets my ruthless going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we've got Stinkpots that similar in some ways.
Similar in some ways. I definitely there are things about Stinkpots that I definitely say you might pick Stinkpots over Grenados. They provide cover, so if you throw them out in an area, they also have their own little marker that you'll see sometimes with the marker set of template set. Yes, thank you. There's a little smoke marker, and that's for the stink pots. And so you throw them out 5 inches away from you, and that little marker will sit there, and that is going to be cover for you. It provides cover.
But these are very different because they don't roll dice.
Right, they don't. They just plop that little marker down. And so if you plop that little marker down on a unit, that is going to do a number of things. It prevents defensive shooting. So if that unit had, yes, huge. For boarding lists or a dedicated melee unit, that's huge. Because you can shut down pistols, brace of pistols. You can shut down loaded muskets as you go in. It will also cause them to take a fatigue test when activating, or I'm assuming they'll have to take a fatigue test. We don't have it in the notes, but when you throw it on that unit, they have to immediately take a fatigue test, right?
Nope.
No? Okay. I figured they would because that would be like intuitively that's what I would think because I threw them on there and that would be like them moving into the marker, but maybe
Usually
not.
they're going to be taking fatigue from the attack surrounding it anyway, but they actually don't if you just throw it by itself. But just like fire, you take if you move into or begin activation in it, you have got to do a resolve test with a D10.
Yeah, I'm getting a little too far into the weeds on this. But anyway, it prevents defensive shooting. You take a fatigue test when you activate in the smoke or when you move into the smoke. So that applies to the unit charging in, but usually you're not going to be too worried about that, or I hope you're not going to have to worry about that because then you've probably misplayed some things.
Mm-hmm.
So the smoke marker goes away the next time that unit activates. After you activate and throw it, the next time you activate, it vanishes. So you'll either have to throw it again or, be okay with it being gone.
You can gain that a little bit by trying to throw it early in the turn and then not activating the unit till late in the turn if you want to be crazy.
Right.
The next turn.
Right. Yeah. Do activate that unit first, the first round, and then the second round, to just get the maximum amount of time for the stink pot to be on the board. One thing observant listeners will have picked up on is I did not say defensive attacks when we were talking about shutting down defensive shooting. So lances or bayonets will get no penalties from this. That you can still make a defensive attack with lances or pikes or bayonets. So that's an interesting wrinkle in there. So don't bring your stink pots to a game and think, oh, I'll just throw the stink pot on this Lancero unit and be fine to charge in. Nope, they'll still get to poke you.
But this is a super powerful tool in any boarding list because you can just toss it and then charge in with no possibility of defensive fire, which takes a lot of the risk out of boarding an enemy ship. So this is one of your top tools if you want to control the boarding process, which is touch and go sometimes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Note, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think most units, I won't say all units, because I think a lot of the ones that get free explosives, I think you can just take anything. But a lot of the units that you have to pay for, you get Grenadoes and Firepots or Stinkpots as an option. You can't take all three.
The wording is kind of weird, and it's hard to plug in and program just the way they want it in Force Builder. So let's touch on that real quick. It has been ruled that you can take any combination you want.
Okay. So that's interesting. So I can take all three if I have the option to take all three.
If you had
I
enough
would just need to pay
models.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here's another question: Do I need to have 16 models to take 2 of them, or is
yes, if it's 1 per 8. So yeah, most like the Mariners.
Well, no, I'm saying two different ones is what I'm saying. Like if I want to take Grenados and Stinkpots, would I need to have 16 models? 1 model for each.
I don't. Your question is invalid. I don't get it. Just does not compute. Well, you gotta give what unit you're talking about.
Well, I'm just pick something that can like the 17th century soldiers. The 1 in 8 can take Grenados and 1 in 8 can take Firepots. If I just need 8 guys, I can pay for both and just have 2 models with 1 with Grenados and 1 with Firepots, correct?
No, that is illegal. Highly illegal.
Okay. I would need 16 models.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can add explosives to 1 and 8, but if you have 16, you could add, and then it will say
Another
4 points
set
for Grenados.
of...
Yeah. But you could do if you have 16 models, you could do a couple different combos. You could, on Force Build, you could just click a Firepot or Stinkpot for 2 points each. It will automatically add 4 points, and then you can decide if you want 2 Firepots, 2 Stinkpots, or 1 Firepot and 1 Stinkpot. Or you can unclick that and click a Grenado for every 8 guys, and then it will add, if you have 16 models, it will automatically add 8 points for 2 Firepots or Grenados. But it has been ruled that you can mix and match beyond that. So you could bring 1 Grenado and 1 Firepot, and the Force Builder won't really process that very well. You'll need to use the plus-minus adjustments at the bottom to make that clear. But it also does let you select both of them, and that's what you were asking about. You can't do that. The wording in the book says you can add Grenados for 4 points or Firepots or Stinkpots for 2 points each. It's in one sentence. It's not individually.
And that's why we say, read your rule book. Don't rely on the Force Builder, because stuff like this happens all the time. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are misplaying that when they're building the lists.
So here's the wording on the pirates in Raise the Black, which I have in front of me. 1 out of 4 models may add Grenadoes for 4 points per model, or may add Firepots or Stinkpots for 2 points per model. So you can't do 1 out of 4 is Grenado, and 1 out of 4 is Firepot or Stinkpot. It's 1 out of 4 can have explosives, and you can choose any explosive you want for the appropriate cost.
Yeah. But big distinction there is 1 and 4. So you would need 8 models, for 2 different times. Yeah.
And your commander does not count as one of those. That's been recently ruled, and neither does like a hostage advisor who's non-combat usually.
But a character would count.
A fighting man would.
A fighting man, yeah. Okay. So I learned something today. Because I had never really thought about that much, and then I just was like, I want to figure this out live on the podcast.
And then there's some certain classes of units that can take them, and it's pretty uniform across the board, although some have a bit more than others.
Yeah.
The obvious ones are the boarding parties. They call these Forlorn Hope in most English literature, and there is a unit called that, but the Forlorn Hope for English, Enfants Perdus for French, and the Interplogue for Dutch, and the Spanish don't actually have one, that's the faction or the nation that has the least explosives, since they were least well equipped. They were poorly equipped, right?
Well, they were usually in the forts that these guys were attacking anyway. So,
True.
Overworked, underfunded.
Yeah.
And those guys can take 1 and 4. That's kind of the 17th century most heavy explosive units. But then all the sailors can take them too, but it's 1 and 8.
Yeah.
So not quite as dense. Sea dogs, marines, Zeleiden, marineros, European sailors. But then the Jamaican privateers and the later filibusters from Raise the Black can also take them at that 1 and 8 ratio.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the 17th century soldiers can take them. So like the musketeers for English, I forget what the French guys are called.
Infantry, I think.
Yeah, infantry,
something like that.
And then
Say
soldados.
infantry, but say it really French.
Yeah, fancy
Infantry.
French. Fancy. They all can take 1 and 8. And then the Grenadiers and Raise the Black, the 18th century soldiers can't take them, but they have the Grenadier version of them, which get them for free, 1 and 4. So they can have a lot of grenades too, but they cost a lot. And then all the 18th century elite veteran sailors from Raise the Black can take them at the 1 and 4, but you have to pay for them. The Vizcaínos, able seamen, Marines Basque, Interplogue are still there for the Dutch, and the Roundsman pirate version can all take 1 and 4. So that's where the Spanish get them pretty densely.
Yeah.
And then most notoriously, and the cause for much grief and consternation and errata, the pirates at 3 points a model can take them for 1 and 4, which makes them the most deadly explosive unit in the game, really.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue really came up with. You just get like 4 units of 8 or 10 pirates, so they have so many Firepots, and you throw them all with one big command point, and you throw like 12 or 20 Firepots on one activation, and it just incinerates this ship. And that was cool.
Much grief was had.
Roundsmen are also the 1 out of 4 models. You had them up the elite sailor. I know they are an elite sailor, but I would also add them in with the 1 and 4 pirates nuts thing.
Yeah,
so.
At least they cost 6 instead of 3, though.
Yeah, at least you're paying a little bit extra for them.
And you can't drop them down a train like the other ones. So the other ones you can drop to 5 and then do explosives. Roundmans are kind of stuck where they're at.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I have no pity on the pirates for not being able to.
It was not a pity or a complaint. It was a factual statement.
It's factual fact.
Factual fact.
But the pirates, we were just realizing, since a lot of the pirate factions have the possibility of being drunk. And we talked about they might drop them on themselves at the top, 1 to a 2. They attack themselves with their own grenades. But if they're drunk, that's a 1 to a 3, and they're attacks with the grenades are actually worse too. But nobody plays the drunk pirates competitively so much. It's
Right.
mostly flying
Wait,
gang. So
Wait,
I dodge
drunk
that.
is a 1 to 3.
Well, why not? It's a penalty to test.
So okay, so I'm misunderstanding. So the normal is 1s and 2s, and then the penalty goes up to 3.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I was just tracking the math in my head. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second, I thought it was just 1s. Hang on.
I mean, I wouldn't want a drunk guy ready my grenades, would you?
Same. No,
Yeah.
give that to somebody else.
Yeah.
Use that fortune on that unit.
And the Spanish, they have the least grenades. The natives have no grenades at all. And the pirates have the most grenades. And the English are kind of second.
Just because the French boarding party, nobody plays those.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you guys use grenades? What do you use them for? And when do you choose not to use them? And do you think they're good or bad? Or OP?
I can start because I have the least amount of experience here. Hilariously enough, even though I am the advocate for boarding and taking a ship by glorious hand to pistol combat, I actually used them of all places on land. We were playing the Great Swamp Fight. We used a scenario, then we just basically said we're going to play at X amount of points. We had one guy in the fort. It was Chris with his dastardly natives. And then I was playing Dutch. And then I think Martin was playing, he typically plays Spanish, but he might have gone something else. Can't remember. But our idea was to throw stink pots out in front of us to basically give us a little bit of cover while we're running in. And it
I
worked
think
a
that's
little
what you're
bit.
supposed to do.
It worked a little bit, but once we crossed the 9-inch death zone, once you get to that fort, you can't climb up immediately. It's dedicated to actually get there. So once you're there, it was a pain to try and climb up and melee and whatnot. But they did their job and they got us to the fort without getting caught up in the open. I think every single one of our units had a stink pot, and there was first action is to throw and then either push or use that third action to move.
Yeah, I've seen people do that kind of a crawl forward with a screen of stink pots. I haven't done it myself, which tells you that I don't like it very much, basically. But I think it can be effective, but I would rather move faster and get shot less than get shot more with a plus.
This was also with the
one.
pre-errata getting shot in the open, so everybody was
Okay,
saving on
yeah.
9. So that was the idea.
Yeah.
And then you're writing your own stink pots, which makes you do a fatigue test anyway. But we should notice, you might have noticed here that a lot of these units that can take them have a really good resolve. Like Forlorn Hope, Infants, and Interplogue all have, and the Grenadiers all have a 4 resolve, best resolve in the game. These are the attack party that are going into danger. They're getting paid the most too. So they got some guts.
Explosive experts, as it were.
Except for pirates.
Out there sniffing out all those ambushes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or getting
except pirates. They're happy to be there.
Yeah.
They captured some explosives. Ooh, what do these do?
So yeah, the Interplogue, they can throw the stink pot and it messes up their enemy, and they charge straight into it and just gulp down that stinky air, and they're fine. But
yeah, check out this candle I got. Its scent is dynamite.
But yes, as a smoke screen, limited value, but it is a fun trick, in my humble, pompous opinion.
Yeah, I think that can work. Like you said, sometimes it might just be faster just to book it and not worry about it, and then use your stink pots to toss over with like a command point right before a dedicated charge over the wall or something. I want to just say one thing because I used stink pots in a list recently, and I don't think you should use explosives on anything that is inexperienced. So I took inexperienced soldados with stink pots in my recorded game, and they were pretty useless because I never felt like I had the actions available to actually use them. So I was always felt like there were more important things to do, so that was kind of wasted points on my part. But I put them in there just to say, hey, I'm gonna try them out and see what it is, and that was my most recent experience. And playing Spanish, like you said, not a lot of Spanish units get explosives, so I don't use them all that often. honestly, and I play against them quite a bit. But yeah, and a lot of times it is in land games. I don't know if I have a local player that really plays boarding lists all that much. So yeah, I do have a player that plays pirates on land a lot, and he does like to bring as many explosives as he can. So that's always a challenge.
Yeah, that's rough. I use them a lot in boarding and for attacking forts. Rarely just in a normal land standard game, but if I know there's a objective that could be a focal point, they can be fun to bring. I have had pretty good success with just a interplogue unit running around blasting and charging things. It's pretty fun. If you can get them close enough, they can wreak havoc.
Yeah.
But yeah, boarding is awesome. I've seen people do it and done it myself, where you throw that stink pot in, and then you can just charge with abandon because you have no consequence. So it's kind of a feel bad moment for the other guys. Like, but if you drop it on yourself, that's where grenades. All this stuff is high drama and very high fun factor at some level.
Right.
And you can min max, and I like to throw them dangerously because I don't like spending 2 actions and I want to squeeze every bit of value I can. So I always say, I got 1 fortune. I got an 80% chance of success. I like those odds every time, so I'll do it. And then
The biscuit.
it still comes back to bite me sometimes, but that's always a dramatic moment and a lot of fun. So it's worth it. Worth including just for fun a lot of times. And they have a high psychological factor on your enemy. Just if they know you have them, and you can keep reminding them you have them, they'll play differently or just target that unit, which is kind of sad when your grenade unit just gets killed before it can do its thing. But it will pivot their focus to something that might free you up to do something else. So it changes the game just being on the board if they know what danger they're in.
Right.
Nobody likes getting burnt and blown up. And even if it's not that much more dangerous than getting shot by a musket, it sounds scarier.
It also can count against you if you're grenade throwers, especially with the pirates, because you got a lot of them. If they end up taking out a lot of the models beforehand, well, obviously you can choose, which models die. If they
Yeah.
just almost wipe a unit, you could lose some of your effectiveness if you get shot preemptively.
That would take a pretty high number. If you have a unit of 12, you have to get down to 2 models before you lose a grenade guy, but it's possible. But yeah, the interplogue that I like to use with got one guy with his blunderbusses, one guy with his grenades, and one guy and the other 2 guys with pistols. And by the end of the game, it's just grenades and blunderbusses. Or actually, I guess they shoot their blunderbuss and never reloads. So, but yeah, they do get shaved down to the best weapons.
Usually.
I have one more anecdote on grenades.
Okay.
So if anybody's played against the Stone Tower Fort, it's a beast to take and very difficult. Actually, any fortification is pretty tough to get into sometimes. But the only time I've really taken out a Stone Tower Fort is I ran up a whole unit of Forlorn Hope and just threw grenades through the little windows. But there's a rule on those: you have to be touching the wall to throw them through the slot windows rather than 5 inches away. So it's really tough, but that was the one time I took a Stone Tower Fort. It was just run up, throw all the grenades inside, and blow everybody up. That was immensely fun. But I had to pay for veteran Forlorn Hope with a local guide to go quick, so they could move with the command points. They could move 8 inches up and then be next to it, and then use the 2 actions to throw it in. I paid for it, but that was a great game. And Jason wrote a whole article on this, on explosives, which might be fun for some more detailed discussion on different things you can do with them. So you can look up the ultimate guide. Everything Jason does is ultimate guide to explosives. We love you, Jason. You can listen to this to explosives for Blood and Plunder.
Yeah.
So great read.
Well, Jason is
Some
an
great
ultimate
pictures that
guy.
I took of myself. So, yeah, he is for sure.
He's very good at the crunch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joseph, I know you've been talking a lot, but do you want to tell us all the juicy details you can about the new Kickstarter coming up?
Yeah, well, I think they're gonna kick off the Brigands of Arja, however they pronounce it, before this, which was kind of a surprise to me. Probably in November, so it might already be out by the time this gets out. I don't know. Which I have
The
less
Kickstarter,
interest in.
not the actual game.
Right, the Kickstarter for it. I don't really have a lot of interest in that. Looks like it'll be fun for some people, but there hasn't been a lot of advertising for this Rise of Buccaneers and Wave 2 mini projects because of that. So hopefully that'll kick off soon. So get out of the way for what I like. This
I'm right there with you.
Rise of Buccaneers Jamaica. That's the book. Looking at the early years of the buccaneering out of Jamaica, probably have some stuff to do with the Western design too. Big English army coming over. So I've been working on it for like, I don't know, 2 years now, doing work for them, helping put it together. Then they're lumping this in with the Wave 2 Miniatures project, where they're releasing new sculpts of pretty much all the core units from the 18th century, or 17th, rather, century set of models. So it's a huge amount of new miniatures. They're looking really good. The sculptors just getting better and better at doing this. That's what we've been previewing on the blog. The Rise of Buccaneers book is going to have mostly English and Spanish stuff in it by its nature, and they want this to be kind of part of a mini series. Rise of Buccaneers Jamaica is the English version, and then there could be a Rise of Buccaneers Tortuga French version. But this book will also have a bit of Dutch stuff in it, which I know people like to ask for Dutch stuff. So here's some stuff.
I'm feeling called out.
You
I
are.
didn't say any names. A lot of new commanders for the Buccaneers, which is I always like new commanders to play with, so I hope people enjoy that. With a lot of new sculpts for commanders too, some really good ones. Rock Braziliano gets a sculpt. There's another guy his sculpt is just epic, but I forget his name off the top of my head. Riley painted up one. I should be able to preview it pretty soon here. And then we got the whole conflict on Jamaica, the kind of Spanish long-term resistance against English occupation with Isasi. So we talked about legendary Isasi already. And then we get all maroon sculpts, which is really welcome. I should do some previews of those because I've had it painted up for a long time, but they finally figured out how to release them. Some early Spanish maroons, cimarroons, they're calling them, and some sculpts for the more later 18th century Jamaican maroons. So that's really going to be fleshed out in the game.
I didn't realize those were not released yet, so
Yeah.
I can take some good pictures of mine that I've painted and
I
send
think
them to
some of
you
them
too.
ended up in the Port Royal little faction boxes, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
I think only like 2 or 3 of the sculpts, but there's a whole line of maroon musketeers, cimarroon archers, the kind of more Spanish dressed, the early maroons that were Christianized and been there for a couple generations. So they have like Spanish clothes, and then just melee maroons with machetes, and then there's Lancer maroons. So we have this huge line and a couple of fun commanders, including Queen Nanny, which was nice addition or completion of the Raise the Black book. So yeah, big. They're gonna have as part of this Kickstarter project. Mike didn't tell me I can't say this, so I'm gonna say it. They're gonna have starter boxes for a nation that are all new sculpts, basically. So like the French starter box, they have all the same units, but all the new sculpts. And then they're planning to do a starter box that has all unique sculpts, basically. So you have like 8 French Caribbean militia. You had 2 sets of 4 in the previous first version, but then they could have a set that had 8 unique sculpts for those, so you get more variety. Every model is unique in your box, but you still get the same 3 units or whatever. So, a huge addition to the miniature line, and they're really good and dynamic sculpts overall. And the production is just amazing with the 3D printers. So should be a great addition to the game. So there's kind of two parts of it: the new minis of all the old stuff, and then a new book. It's more of a smaller book. It's not massive like Raise the Black or No Peace Beyond the Line. It's pretty focused. It's going to have quite a few scenarios in it, several factions for English and Spanish, and then some Maroon factions and a little bit of Dutch. And that's kind of the scope of the book. More limited, but new toys for almost everybody. And some new characters that will be for everybody. And we got a preview of those, one of those, the hostage in the Summer Plunder organized play kit. Summer Plunder, yeah. So that's I guess I can't say a short version of it, but the media version of what I know about the project. And it's scheduled for Q1 of 2026. They don't want to do it in December, and they don't want to do it in January because Christmas hits the pocketbook. But it should launch after that, and it should be a easy one to fulfill in its last words. But it's pretty much all being produced here domestically. The book is pretty small. The miniatures, they already got some of them in production. I should mention you can see some of the minis getting painted over on Dr. D's professional casual Twitch channel. He graciously gave us some pictures of a couple of these minis. The young Henry Morgan, which is an awesome model, that we previewed on the blog as well. Also part of that Kickstarter, you can see the Corbetta and maybe another ship that I haven't seen it yet, so I can't guarantee. And then the stat cards, the long-awaited stat cards that have been supposed to get printed, are supposed to be part of that Kickstarter as well. And maybe there's a couple new characters that haven't been released, like a Carpenter model, and maybe some packs of characters. At least this is a recommendation for me that I've been pushing for. Kind of like that civilian pack. We had the spy and the local guide and the captured merchant and the pilot. They've done many of these cool characters like the sharp-eyed lookout and stuff, hoping that they'll bundle some of those together for like your ship's characters with your bosun and your lookout, and an army one with the drummer and maybe the surgeon or something.
Standard bearer.
Yep. Yeah. So it should be a pretty big project. It's kind of not a ton of new content to process and add to the game, but a lot of new miniatures and some new content for a bunch of players, and a lot of new fun historical scenarios. And great addition to the game. Looking forward to it actually happening. I've been helping them out with it for a while, and I want to see the light of day.
Yeah, it's really cool because I've read it and kind of helped you out with it a little bit as well. My time with it, it's been really nice. I want them to include some of that. I know you said it, but the Western design stuff is also really awesome. Hopefully that makes it in there. But
right now it looks like that's going to be like a Kickstarter bonus, maybe not part of the book, but it is a weird little bit. It's this huge English army that lands on Hispaniola and does pretty poorly, to be honest. But it's a very different style of fighting that isn't really in Blood and Plunder very much right now. So it might be like its own PDF with some special characters and factions and commanders. That's my understanding at the moment. So
cool.
Kind of its own little thing with maybe a couple scenarios for that Hispaniola expedition. And then they pivot to Jamaica, and it's kind of more skirmishy kind of warfare at that point.
Yeah.
Which is very perfect for Blood and Plunder.
Yeah. The Spanish were basically living the same way as the Maroons on Jamaica for a while, being supplied from Cuba.
Yeah,
all the way up
till by the Maroons, to be honest, but
or that, yeah, all the way up until I think like 1660.
Yeah, 5 years.
Like 5 years
held
there.
out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading on it.
I have too. I'm trying to finish my book about the Western design, and I'm going through the my where I am in the book is they've just left Barbados and they're headed to Hispaniola right now. So
With their quote cabbage stock pikes.
right, that
Oh boy.
some of the commanders were calling them terrible
Yeah. There was some
quality
bad
weapons.
choices made, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, in my book it was saying like they spent way too long on Barbados trying to wait on their supply ships that got delayed in England, so they were chewing up supplies there, and then the Barbados people were getting mad at them because it was like just leave, because it's like you're taxing our economy and our way of life too much. This gigantic army just sitting on our island.
And they sent a bunch of weapons there beforehand, but Barbados got them and then just kind of sold them or distributed them, so they weren't
Yeah,
ready for their
yeah.
army when they got there, so they had to make weapons. So it was a bit of a mess.
Apparently, according to my book, apparently there were Dutch merchants at Barbados when they arrived, and the English army ran them off because they were trading with them illegally, and that was another
Mhm.
reason why the Barbadians were mad at them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That'll do
Bring
it.
back our black market, yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's a fun little chapter of history. It's been highly entertaining to study. Speaking of, I'll just talk about my books here.
We'll do the books first, since it's a segue. And I think you have like the second book that I was talking about listed on here. So I was doing
Yeah.
Anglo-Spanish War 1. I've not got to 2 yet.
Yeah, if you want to read up on this before the project launches and kind of know what you're getting into as far as history goes, my top pick would be the Century of the Soldier series. I forget who publishes it. They're kind of expensive books, but they're well researched, and this one is very well written. Anglo-Spanish War Volume 2, War in Jamaica. They're in front of me, although I do have the Amazon link. Paul Sutton. Really well written, really covers the whole... better than that. I think you and I have both read that other book, the Western Design. I prefer this one a little bit, but it's more expensive. It's like $40.
It's more expensive, and it's like heavier. The other book is a little lighter and kind of goes through. It's more of a kind of hit highlights of what's going on. Maybe not as much militarily, but more so like economically.
Yeah, exactly. Socially, economically, big picture world politics. It hits it really well. This one looks much more closely at the military campaign and each commander and each little thing that happened. So details-wise, this has been my favorite as far as relating to the game.
Yeah.
So,
They are expensive, but they like you get a lot of info for what you're paying for, I think.
you also can buy them for Kindle for like $10.
Yeah.
Actually, Kindle $41. Never mind. Huh. And then I picked up this other interesting read. I just barely started it. It's called The Jamaicans by Victor Stafford Reed from the 1970s. This is like a novel focusing on the Jamaicans, and it focuses on Lubolo and Juan de Ceres, these main characters that are going to appear in the book. It's definitely
Those are maroon commanders, right?
maroon characters, and Isasi. So it's definitely fiction, but if you're like 1970s fiction written by kind of an activist, it would definitely bring it to life and kind of give some personality to the main characters that are going to come out in this book. So I bought it used because it's not in publication and print anymore. But The Jamaicans, he wrote a couple different novels set in history. Victor Stafford Reed.
Neat. Search around for that, and you might be able to find it.
That's about $10 or something.
Yeah.
Looks like a pretty easy read, but should be fun.
So you got any blog updates for us?
Yeah, what are you guys doing? You guys got articles? I gotta get you guys to write more stuff.
I know. It's
You've been getting married and having babies and stuff. Come on.
well. I mean, I feel bad but I try
No,
to
no.
I try to keep something in my pocket. I'm actually working on a faction preview for one of the Spanish factions. I think it's the original Spanish militia. I think, or no, the Raise the Black Spanish militia.
Okay.
That was
Or
it.
four.
That was it.
And Dan did all the pirates and all the Dutch already, so he already did his whole slice of the game. But
Yeah, I got to work on getting the
Damn
Spanish
right I did.
done.
I did also write that article on all the sailors too.
Yeah, that's out.
And then I want to do like the mini preview articles for some of the Spanish the Spanish commander and Asasi. I want to do that. It might be like a combined article on both of those, but once I get those finished painting, I want to do those. I liked your article that you wrote recently. I don't know if you've published it yet, but the activation card article.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that. It's gonna come out this week probably, so it might be already out by the time this goes out. But I wrote a pretty nerdy article, in-depth article on how to build your force with the activation cards in mind, and different ways to kind of maximize value you can get out of units, thinking about your average hand you draw every turn. So there's some crunchy math in it, and it needs to be edited down a little bit. It wasn't popular with all the people I sent to preview. So, but if you like competitive play and you like thinking about different ways to build your force and kind of how to play the mini game of getting value out of your cards within the game, you might really like it. So that'll be coming out sometime in November here before Thanksgiving, probably.
I like all that stuff, and I do like your article on that. I've read an earlier draft. I need to read your newest draft, but it's an approval from me.
Okay. And then we just got a lot of previews for this new stuff coming out, so that'll be a high concentration for the next month or two, 3. I got, and even some showcases of miniatures I've been painting. I'm gonna release the Pirate Fiddler mini I painted up just because he's entertaining. So little article on that. Got some faction reviews in process. Tyler, Dan's brother, wrote up a good faction review for one of the Portuguese factions. So trying to get that edited and pictured up and out there. So that's in the works, and I have some long-standing neglected articles, but a lot of previews and that nerdy article coming up. And then we got the Secret Santa, which has been going for several years. Adam Horton up in my neck of the woods, or sort of Seattle, has been running it for a while, but he wants to take a break this year, so we're running it. So if you're interested in doing a bit of a gift exchange for Christmas time, I have November 22nd as the cutoff date for jumping in on it, but I might be able to extend that. I will be sending matchups out at that date, November 22nd. But if I get a couple,
I signed up for it, so there's a chance you'll get something from me.
All right. And you want capers, right, Dan?
I
Copper?
will throw myself into the snow and die if I get another set of coppers.
Don't say that. But it's always fun to kind of make connections with the community by sending people fun painted minis during this time of year. And I opened it up for Oak and Iron and Port Royal as well. So if you want to get in on that, get on it right away, because we're kind of running a little behind schedule this year. But the idea would be to do for Blood and Plunder a unit of 4 units, models that can be. You can dress them up a little bit for Christmas season if you want, but I recommend just painting some nice models that can use in an everyday game and not going too crazy with your special mods and customization. But it's a fun time to make something cool and send it to somebody else and get something from somebody else. Or you could do a commander and something cool, paint up a commander really nice and maybe put an objective or something in like that. Or a unit of 4 and a commander. Or for Oak and Iron, just any one ship would be pretty great. And for Port Royal, I'm recommending one custom model and maybe an objective token. And no, I think you use quite a few objectives in that game. So
You do.
and you can customize and make a kind of fun one.
I got some custom
that way.
tokens built by, I can't remember his name, I'm bad with names, but he sent me ones from the game Stalker, which I'm a big fan of. He just happened to see that we were in the same Stalker Discord, and he sent me like 3 of them, and I absolutely love them, and I bring them to every Port Royal game at this point.
So that should be running. I'm trying to get people to paint up minis pretty quickly and send them out so people get them by Christmas, but as long as they get them before New Year's, it'll be a success. Got about 20 people signed up right now, which is similar to last year, but if you get up to 30 or so, that'd be real fun. Make sure you're sending something nice to people and don't go cheap. It is about giving stuff, but it's always fun to get something nice too, so be considerate in your participation. Then we got the Great Pirate Paint-Off coming up right around the corner again. I can't believe it. That'll start January. I think I'll just run it pretty similar to last year, where we have staggered deadlines for kind of different categories, characters, commanders, units, ships, terrain, that kind of thing. And we'll have some good prizes for it. So don't hold off painting just because of it, but it will be open for any miniatures that are finished in 2026. It will run January through April. I think that's the plan.
Sounds fun. We've also got Adepticon coming up in March 25th through the 29th.
Should be big.
In Milwaukee again. I'm always looking forward to it. March is always a big month for me because I have my reenacting trip at the very beginning of the month and then Adepticon at the end of the month. So March is always fun.
I will be there this year too at the Adepticon, so I will also be there.
You can see Dan at Adepticon. That's reason enough to go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we got our events. Jason, the ultimate event organizer, has been doing tons of work behind the scene, getting volunteers organized and getting events entered. It happens early, so a lot of work. And we really thank
for
him
the first time
labor.
this year, it looks like every single Blood and game will be represented. Last time I checked, which is awesome.
Yeah. So you want to try any of the Firelock games? Even Scurvy Dice. We can bring that. Or not. It'll be there.
Do any of us own Scurvy Dice? I've played it, but I don't own it.
I do own it. Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah.
We played it at NashCon last year or this year.
That's another thing I want to get on the blog. All these other pirate games I like. What other board games could a person who plays Blood and Plunder enjoy? And I played a bunch of them, and I've taken from heavy to very, very light, and taken some pictures and started articles on some of them. I need to finish that series. There's a bunch, but I better not get started on that right now.
Well, for more Blood and Plunder content, you can go to bloodandpigment.com and check out all the material we have there. We have articles on ships, nations, factions, terrain, painting guides, battle reports, and just about anything else you can think of. So go check it out.
Check out our YouTube channel as well. We got a variety of stuff up there. These podcast episodes you can listen to there if you prefer that to your podcast app. We got battle reports. Did a big one about a month ago or so with a bunch of people in our new studio. We got some new rules videos coming out. And if you want to vote, if this episode wasn't explosive enough for you, you can vote on our next topic or a topic I get hit on in the future for this podcast by signing up for our Patreon, which helps us out at patreon.com/bloodandpigment.
As always, keep your dice ready, the wind at your back, yar har.